What's going on, Pocket Theory? It's your main man, Suds, coming to you from my home office here on an overcast day in Austin, Texas. What are we talking about today? We're talking about a specialized kit that I put together related to a hobby that I picked up in the last year, paracord. Specifically tying paracord knots, making lanyards and such. You know any good paracord jokes? Afraid not. Sorry. If you're a real EDC nerd, then you already know that cordage is a great addition to any kit, and paracord comes in a variety of sizes and strengths. Paracord is great for kits because it's lightweight, it's compact, and it's very, very strong. My preferred top three are Bungee shock cord. It's got a little bit of a stretch to it. I also like microcord, which has about 100-pound test strength and it's thin, and then standard 550 paracord. Love this stuff. The reason it's called 550 paracord is because it has a 550-pound test strength, which means you could technically build a swing out of this shit, and I could swing on it, which is impressive because I'm fat. Now, obviously, you can secure a parachute with it. That's why they call it paracord, but you could also tie a bear bag up into a tree, use it as an emergency tourniquet, secure a tarp, or build shelter. You can even use it to fix a broken shoelace, and it's way stronger than a standard shoelace. In fact, why do they even make shoelaces out of shoelaces? Why don't they just make it out of paracord to begin with? Not just a hat rack. Always thinking, people. Now, aside from being a great addition to any kit, paracord can also be used to fashion zipper pulls, clutches, leashes, lanyards, and a ton of other practical EDC stuff. My paracord journey so far is pretty limited. I know how to tie a snake knot, a diamond knot, and a monkey fist. And of course, bracelets. Psych, I didn't make this. I got this on Amazon. This is my paracord goals, though. Just a quick sidebar on the monkey's fist. All paracord knots are not created equal. You can make a monkey's fist by just wrapping the paracord around itself, but this is actually wrapped around a 2-inch steel ball bearing, and this is known as an impact weapon. In Texas, this is perfectly legal, but in Oklahoma, our neighbor to the north, this is a felony. So when you're making paracord items, use common sense, make sure you know the laws in your state, and don't be a fucking idiot. Oh my God, the horror. I'm sorry you had to see that. Let's just zoom in, folks. This is the Paracord Kit. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it, shall we? Let's get into the contents. We've got a nice big fat pair of tweezers, a paracord fid. If you look at the end of this, this screws onto the end of your paracord, and this is essentially a large sewing needle for paracord. A Sharpie. These are very useful additions to any kit. A generic paracord flattening tool. But what's crazy is this has become one of the most essential pieces of this kit. I actually grabbed this almost more than anything else. This end is very useful for digging into knots, and then you can insert the whole thing in and really just get a good grip on it and pull. A big fat Marlinspike. This is a tool that is borrowed from the world of knotting. Hemostat forceps, aka roach clips, aka tweezer clamps. That's right, stoners. These are for more than just smoking doobies. You can use these to help you tie paracord knots as well. One of them has a curved end. The other one is straight. You insert this into a knot, you get yourself a good grip on a piece of paracord, and then you can pull it through. Some various shanks of paracord. We have a variety of colors. I'm gonna dig into this side pocket first. This is kind of full of additional paracord fid needles. It's also got some accessories in here for if I want to tie a bracelet, and some other accessories for lanyards. This brass thimble from Countycom. When you are melting the ends of the paracord, this has a really nice texture. You can protect your finger and then kind of smush the melted paracord. Right here, we have a little parts tray. This is good for holding on to parts like beads, and it also has a nice texture at the bottom too, so when you melt the ends, you can smash it into that. This is just a little box of various nuts and beads. You don't have to use fancy beads when you're tying paracord lanyards. Sometimes you can just use hex nuts. When it comes to melting the ends of your paracord, you're gonna want a lighter of some kind. When I'm doing it here at home, I do have this butane torch. Here in the kit, I have this Zippo. This has a single butane insert. I find that the single butane insert actually works better than the double butane insert. That works better for like lighting a cigar or a blunt. This is way better for paracord, and it's kind of a cool looking lighter. I dig it. I gotta talk about the scissors. If you have ever tried to cut paracord with normal scissors, you know how frustrating it can be. God damn it! These are flawless. Not just any pair of Fiskars, but this exact pair of Fiskars. I'll put a link in the description. They've got this little cover on the end. They just work flawlessly with paracord. I can't recommend these enough. I did forget to mention that back over here in this back pocket, I do have a clamp. It helps me keep things oriented when I'm tying knots. What items am I missing? If this was your kit, what would you add? What would you take away? Leave a comment and let me know. So why do you want to put a lanyard on one of your knives? Well, first and foremost, you don't have to. Just because something has a lanyard hole does not make you obligated to put a lanyard on it. But to demonstrate why you might want to add a lanyard to a small knife, I'm going to use the Benchmade Bugout. Now, when you look at the full-size Bugout, it fits my hand pretty perfectly. When you look at the end of the handle, it extends beyond my pinky, and I don't need any additional assistance to get a very solid grip. Compare that to the Bugout Mini. When I get a grip on this, you can see my pinky goes beyond the end of the handle, so this lanyard is actually helping me get a better grip on the knife. Surprise, surprise, Suds loves small knives, and as you can see, in addition to extending the grip, adding a lanyard to your knife can also kind of bump up the cool factor. And like I said, you don't need expensive beads. These are 3D printed beads I got off Etsy. This knife is the Civivi Baby Banter. It already came in white and red. All I had to do was add a yellow lanyard, and now I've got Kansas City Chiefs colors. Why? Because go Chiefs, baby! Victorinox makes lanyard pulls that you can buy for like $4 or $5 each, but if you can tie your own paracord knots, you can make your own. You can make your own zipper pulls. And once you get really talented, you can tie lanyards like this. Now, I didn't tie this myself, but somebody very talented on Etsy did, and I attached it to this sweet unknown EDC keycap. How dope is that? The newest addition of my paracord tool collection is this paracord jig. I've nicknamed mine Furiosa because I suck at everything paracord related, and it makes me furious when I fail. About once a year, my wife and I get kind of sick of Austin, and we started a tradition during the pandemic where we would find an Airbnb in a small town out in the middle of nowhere, and we would go spend a weekend there. It's the kind of trip where you take like a book, a deck of cards, and maybe some music, and that's it. But sometimes I'll bring the paracord kit with me. So if I get bored and I decide I want to tie up a bracelet, I have everything I need to get the job done. If you decide that you want to get into paracord knotting as a hobby, there are a ton of YouTube channels that'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to tie different knots and how to make things like bracelets. I'll be sure to put some links in the description so you can check out some of my favorite channels. And if you do get into paracord knotting as a hobby and you really like it, make yourself a paracord kit. Take all the supplies that you need to tie paracord knots with you wherever you go. You won't regret it. Just remember, think outside the box, be creative with your gear, and have fun with your EDC. This is Suds with Pocket Theory. You understand the knot is frayed. It's a frayed knot. So good. Carry what you want.